click the links. Join the channel here over at SubScribestar, now over at Odyssey. Thanks to everyone over there. So X-Men, now with more gay voice actors. That's just fabulous. Dear SJWs, please don't watch the video. Just block the whole channel. If I have to read any more of your long passive-aggressive soy comments, I will lose my effing mind. Not even kidding. It's actually depressing to see what soft, wet pussies kids have turned into these days with their first world problems and attention-seeking behavior. And it's the passiveness of their comments that are just, it just bothers me. I read them. I'll give you the credit. I read them. But it's, ever since I gave that preamble, they stopped leaving these comments. So thank God. So X-Men, men, yes, I get it. It's the man is inclusive. Fair enough for the vagina enjoyers out there. They have a shape-shifting queer Vox voice acting. They have a shape-shifting character who the bullshit degenerates at DC decided to make non-binary. So, from the article, it seems like we can't go a day without some new controversy rearing its just peak Sodom and Gomorrah ridiculousness for the Disney Plus X-Men 97. Promising start? No, that's your first mistake, is thinking anything is going to be promising. That ship sailed a long time ago. This is where Hollywood is now. They have the Trump derangement syndrome. It's unfortunately it's terminal. X-Men modernized woke. Yeah. They gave the guy some kind of pronouns or something. They're worried about his gender identity, and he's voiced by a gay voice actor, Carliac, who's founder of some gay voice union or something. Making him, even though he's a shapeshifter, non-binary is still stupid because presumably he was born as a male, so that's his core structure. But the globalists, I mean, I assume he's just, changing the externalities. But the globalists need to brainwash kids so they can destabilize, subvert, corrupt, and destroy society, which they're very successfully doing. Looks around at current, yikes, my guy. How does the fall of Rome affect you? That burning city dystopian nightmare in the background, somebody fiddling up on a roof. It's like yikes, my guy. How does the disruption of the entire infrastructure and supply chain, how does it affect you personally, my guy? Just let people enjoy things as they're sacrificing babies to Moloch and whatnot. Yeah, how does the hellfire in this day, pray for plutonium rain, how does that affect you personally, my guy? Maybe, have you considered touching grass? Go outside. 300-pound soy boys are telling me to finger a vagina and go outside. I look at them. It's like, Jesus, dude. So they say the character is non-binary. The problem is, even with a shapeshifter, it doesn't really exist. And I guess it's a pretty good example of the peak nonsense that we're in right now. Well, he can change the external and try to trick people. And I don't remember if he's changing his DNA, and I don't care enough to look it up. Because if by canon he can't, then they'll just change it so he can. They'll retcon anything they want or make it a parallel universe. Or there are no stakes. Nothing matters. It is all so tiresome. So they want your kids to think that they can be all this kind of nonsense. They want your boys to think they can be the opposite sex. They don't want them forming stable families, extended families, and having in-group focused and being tribal and being part of their community, which is their tribe. It's like, what do you think nation means? Natal and going to church and all this kind of stuff. They tell you what you have to do whatever pagan ceremony you're into. It's like, by all means, anything that gets in-group preferences, I'm all for. So they tell you what you have to do by what degeneracy they push and what scares them. Because what scares them is structure, order, I don't know, fighting entropy, I guess, and in groups, because they are, there's some sort of like outside parasitical demonic influence. And when you're in groups, you can resist the machinations of these outside globalists much, much more easily. It's it's like the events of the past few years with the whole gift from overseas. I don't even know if I can say China anymore. It's probably istophobic. The whole Wu flu thing. It was easier to resist these things, to realize when you're part of something. It's easier to just go, I think I'll probably wait for the long-term studies to come out. It's like, don't you trust the government and media? No. Why do you? When did the left? Because they made me I should probably start talking. Okay, so I realize now that's a lot of hot words. So don't say anything in the comments. Furfig, McDeer, and Penfold. I made people mods to police the comments, but the mods all turned out to be Nazis and the worst offenders. Shake my head. So the argument is X-Men was some civil rights, globalist propaganda, which I realize now is cringe as hell. But anyways, in the early days, it just wasn't as heavy-handed. And at least in the beginning, people made an effort for actually trying to treat people equally. There was a start. Like, there was a spark of hope back in, 60 years ago. Back there was a spark of hope. Like, oh, maybe we can make this work. But, ship has sailed forever. And the globalists have subverted and corrupted it as they do everything they touch. Hey, how you join that? Occupy Wall Street? You always use that. I know, but it's a great example because it's when the globalists actually saw somebody challenging their power, so they just simply put their finger in it and go. It's like they touched the guy's forehead, the eternal gods touching the forehead, the Watchers or something, and saying you're going to change from focusing on class warfare to race and go after the no, not the 0.1%, not the peak of the pyramid. Just look a little lower than that. But that's not the pivot point. That's not the nexus point of power. If it's like you're deliberately red herring us away from the actual nexus point of power. Yes, that's right. That's what subversion and corruption is. Anyway, so what it is now is they got them to focus all their hatred into people of European descent or Christians or men in general. It's just an anti-white hate movement that's an open Bolshevik propaganda. Why would we support that? We know we're not the problem. We're awesome. We're the solution. And it is a trip when you tell people that to see them. Some people will realize, like, oh, maybe you're right. And then the people who, like, you put people in the position of saying, no, you're the problem. And then it sets it up like an open conflict is better than a hidden conflict, because then you can look at them and go, oh, wait, it just seems like you're a hate group. It just seems like you hate. I mean, it is that you hate us, and we know we're not the problem. We think you're the problem, and you think we're the problem. So it puts it out in the open, which is better than having it all kind of euphemisms and you want to red pill the normie as fast as effing possible. Anyway, X-Men, right? So the Avengers was more my speed when I was a kid. Anyway, so no matter what they come out with, it's going to suck donkey balls, whether it's the X-Men or I think Silk. Is that an Amazon? Because Sony probably owns it or something. I think Amazon's coming out with a Silk thing. And they fired all the writers. They have the executive producer, but they fired all the writers because they looked at Madam Web, which bombed. And they looked at the Marvels, which bombed. And you go, oh, so this chick power stuff is just not really selling. And they're looking around like, oh, this is going to bomb, isn't it? Yeah, obviously it's going to bomb. No matter what you do, you fire all the writers, but you're just going to replace them with soy boys anyway. We saw the writer's room who was writing for She-Hulk in that one episode where they break the fourth wall, and you look at these people who they look exactly like you expected them to look. So it doesn't matter what Hollywood comes out with. It is going to be woke, cringe, anti-white, anti-Christian, communist propaganda. So anyway, this, did I show? Oh, there, sweet Jesus. Oh my God. This purple-haired, attention-seeking soy boy pussy has a group, I won't say it. Has a group for others like him. Now, I wonder what happens if the super straight or super gay people or Christians or Europeans, if they set up their groups to advocate for their interests. And if you're confused by the super gay thing, this thing started a long time ago, a couple of years ago on Twitter. The thing is, if you're not following the whole culture war with the BLT community, is that there's the gay aspect of it. Or I guess in terms of all of this, there's gay and straight, which are people who are biologically focused. They're either same or opposite sex attracted. They believe in biology, and they don't. That's it. It's the bottom line. Like, how you identify doesn't matter. It's what you are. So in that regard, gays and straights are in the same kind of logically based construct, where the QT community is mostly just kids LARPing, playing dress up for attention-seeking behavior, fad type of behavior. And, I think this is got to be the weirdest. I mean, people have always tattooed themselves in ritual scarification, things that don't change the functionality of your body. You can still, you ultimately, like, what's the key drive is to reproduce, or at least maintain the ability to that. this, what's going on now is even like more Weimar than Weimar for what they're doing to people. It's like it's a cult that sterilizes itself. Okay, that's just the darkest thing I've ever heard of. I can't imagine a nightmare that's a living hell to do to these people. Where's I going with that? Honestly, it's like it's so dark. It shocks me with how evil it is, and people just kind of go, "Well, what are you gonna do? Yikes, my guy! Let people enjoy themselves." Yeah, you're just seeing Darwinism, I guess. Anyway, so the thing is, the super gay is the QT people are kind of the gay people are separating themselves off from the Qs and the Ts in that community. So it's kind of interesting. Anyway, so if you tried to set up some kind of group, Christian group or whatever, you get blacklisted by the puppet master Fink types. So the left always says inclusion and diversity, but then they have literally exclusive groups. They feel comfortable drawing a line around themselves and saying, yeah, this is us, you're not us. So can you solve that equation for me? Would they support us setting up our own groups, super straight groups, or Euro-based or Christian? And when you mention it, this guy's really rough on the eyes. They lose that soy mouth is just... You would think they would have got the message by now. With the Chuck Wendig is the most famous... Chuck Wendig and Joe Glass are the most famous soy mouths I think I've ever seen. Absolutely horrific. It's right up there with who's that guy? Tim Doyle, in his he's in a bikini or something, or no, not a bikini. It's like a one-piece swimsuit type of woman's swimsuit. I look at that and like, there's not enough cocaine in the world to explain that photo, but I'm sure that guy was blown out of his mind. I hope it was went through a dark patch and that was a chemical dependency issue, because that would make a whole lot more sense to me. That I could understand, as opposed to him being, no, I was totally sober when I did that. Like, then I think I would rather believe that you're just on a mountain of marching power. Anyway, so they lose their mind about them being inclusive, but they're allowed to exclude us. But then they panic if we say, "Oh yeah, we want to do the same. We want to exclude you guys." So we have to form our groups in secret, which is kind of fun working out on the alt platform, Subscribestar and whatnot. Guys, if you're super straight or even super gay or Euro or Christian, or even, to be fair, a non-white conservative, we are the marginalized and oppressed. We are the disenfranchised. The globalists who control the dissemination of information are projecting their hatred onto us and gaslighting us. We are the disenfranchised. They're lying. The proof is, all you have to do is try to start a group, and you will be blacklisted, debanked, kicked off payment processors, kicked off mainstream social media accounts, and definitely blacklisted by a comic industry. As Saturday Night Live showed, they're so deep in an echo chamber that they literally didn't think it was happening to political dissonance, the concepts of the financial industry becoming an arm. Is that fascism, when they're like an arm of the government? And a censoring and kicking off political dissonance happening in Europe and America as well, like getting debanked. And Saturday Night Live didn't think that was happening because they're so far out of touch. The left wing doesn't know how the right wing thinks, and they completely lack any empathy or sympathy, where the right wing knows how the left wing thinks, because we grew up in a left wing environment. We grew up in the Matrix, and we had to leave the Matrix. And like I always say, it's like, I know we're over target because we're catching flack. So anyway, they believe in censorship for their political opponents, simply because they have bad ideas that can't be defended. The right wing has free speech, we win. If you have good ideas, you want people to hear them, you want to talk about them. The left wing has bad ideas. That open marketplace of ideas, the harsh, disinfecting sunlight, yeah, their ideas would just wither and die. They would not withstand a rigorous, robust cross-examination because they're really, really dumb ideas. It's partially why the left wing can't meme. They can't make a précis of their ideas, because people look at that and goes, "Oh yeah, that's been tried before. Those are bad ideas. That's not human nature." You understand. We understand. People in a capitalist system screw each other over, and they're completely untrustworthy. So in a communist system, and you look at them and go, so the same people are going to be in a communist system, and you expect them to change from advocating for their family themselves to suddenly being altruistic because you changed from a capitalist to communist system. Yeah, that's not going to work. Oh. Anyway, like, comment. So, I mean, what it does is it does produce really well fertilized fields, but it's kind of the most tragic sort of fertilizer. Anyway, like, comment, subscribe, join the Subscribe Star or the Odyssey membership, and I will see you guys all next episode.